of the NC Council of Churches, Sophia Chedlik, who's a state senator in Durham, Nida Alam, chair of the county commission, Javiera Caballero, city council member, Natalie Beyer with the Durham School Board. And yeah, I think that's it for now. Great. So we'll hear from Miss Alicia. Come on down.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alicia Muhammad. I am the Regional Director of All My Children Child Care Center. Today, when I was remotely working from home today, I got a call that ISIS was sitting in our parking lot. They wasn't on this part of the parking lot, but they were more near the church. And at that time, we locked down our building. My staff that was here, my leadership staff that was here, they got the signs up to let them know they cannot enter into our buildings. We alerted our parents that at this time we do not want anyone to come and pick up anybody because, as always, our safety is our kids. And it's really sad that our kids can't go to school freely, learn freely, and love on each other friends freely. And the school that we run, they're preschool. They're younger than preschool. They're infants, 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s. So it's really sad that they have to live in fear of attending school to be with their friends, to get their education, and the consistency love of each other that what our teachers bring to them. So once we got that call, we locked down our building. We put the signs up to let them know they cannot enter our buildings. We called parents to inform them what was going on in our parking lot. And we just tried to just gather together, make sure the kids was not aware of what was going on outside. And we didn't want them to be aware of what was going on inside. So we continue our day inside. And basically that's what we did for the day. Thank you.
Did anybody enter the building?
No one entered the building. We locked our building down. Yeah, no one entered the building. We locked it down. So they could not even enter the building.
And how long was lockdown?
We just released our lockdown at 5 because our numbers of the children went down. As soon as I got the call of who was in our parking lot, we immediately locked down our building.
And at what time did that?
That was at least around 11 o'clock. Around 11 o'clock.
Did you receive any sort of warrant or any notice from the agency?
No, I haven't. No, we did not receive any of that information.
Did they knock on your door?
No, they did knock on our door. They did not knock on our doors, but the presence was in our parking lot.
Who identified it? Was it a teacher?
Yes, a teacher. A teacher did identify that it was ICE in our parking
And
lot.
it matched like other reported?
Yes, and then we started seeing the other reports and people getting pulled over with masks. Their faces were covered and stuff like that. Yes, sir. Did you?
What did they do in the parking lot?
They were just sitting in the parking lot. From my indication, they were just sitting in the parking lot. They didn't pull. I don't know if they pulled anyone over or anything like that, but just the fear that they were sitting in our parking lot, our child care's parking lot.
Did you get any reaction from your parents when you alerted them?
At that time, the parents started to call and ask if we needed anything, do we need to pick up the kids? And they were also inquiring about our procedure, our lockdown procedure. Because at that time, we locked down the building.
Ma'am, how are you trying to navigate the future as you don't know like what will happen next? Are you going to continue to run operations as normal, or what are you kind of telling families?
We're going to continue, our program is going to continue to run operations normal, but we're just going to be on a higher alert since we know we always hear, I've been to webinars, I've been to meetings, we always hear, but now today it was right in front of our face. And that was very scary for not just me as a child care provider, but for my staff that take care of these kids every day.
And for the demographics of this daycare facility, are there a lot of children up there?
Yes, we have a lot of black and brown kids in this facility. The majority are black and brown kids, yes.
Are the immigrants?
One or two. The immigrants ratio is 1 to 2, but I have a lot of black and brown families that we serve in this facility right here. All right. Thank you.
Marisa, can you move for a second? I also just want to say this is a story of a community defending itself. So one of the child care workers here called the Siembra NC hotline when this was happening, when they decided to lock the doors. And so we talked them through sort of like how to stay safe, make sure to keep the door closed, you know, the basics of what we call our Fourth Amendment workplaces, of how you can protect your rights no matter where you are in your workplaces. And they also requested to have volunteers come, make sure later on during pickup that there were just more people watching out in case Border Patrol decided to come back. And Mauricio's actually been driving patrol shifts in Charlotte for the last couple of days. And this morning we said, hey, it looks like Raleigh, it looks like Durham, and drove up here, and also is still here. It was here at 4, helping out here. And there were literally hundreds of people who got trained this morning at 8 a.m. virtually, and then just got on the road. And that's in Durham, that's in Raleigh, that was people in Orange County, across the region, people looking out for each other. Thanks a lot. So with that, I'll introduce Nikki Marin Baena, co-director of Siembra NC.
Hello everyone, my name is Nikki Marin Baena, that's Nikki-Marin-Baena. And I'm co-director of Siembra NC, and I am also a mom. I want to acknowledge what was really difficult about today. We've been seeing Border Patrol's operation in Charlotte for several days now, and have seen more detentions back to back than we had in many years in the state's history. And then we braced for more of that last night when we got the news about Raleigh. This administration has had a goal of creating intimidation and fear for immigrant communities and then laughing about it. And what we've seen in the last several days in the detentions in Charlotte and here are people being detained, not committing crimes, but outside of the grocery store, or pumping gas, or hanging up Christmas lights. People going about their everyday life. It's difficult to watch, and it's also difficult to watch the treatment that the Border Patrol agents sometimes show to community members who are out just trying to help people get home safely or help get to school safely. Last night, I was in a crowd of 400 people who were getting trained to do safety patrols in their neighborhoods to help people get everywhere safely. And last night we got the news about Raleigh, and we made an invitation very late at night, and about 700 people said that they would be willing to do patrol shifts in Raleigh, in Durham, in Garner, to help keep people safe. So I think that while a lot of the stories that we hear might be about the violence of the detentions and about how unfair all of this is, I think it's also important to show how people are showing up for each other on very short notice. We've been talking a lot at Siembra about this Martin Luther King quote, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that." And I've been thinking a lot about violence and the way that this administration is using it as a false promise of safety, when we know, when people in Durham know, and people across North Carolina know, and hundreds of people are showing that they can remember, that the only thing that can truly keep us safe is neighbors caring for neighbors. So let it be known that all of us here today demand an end to these operations and to any future action that keeps any member of our community from living a safe and dignified life without fear. No more do we want the places that we love, the places that our kids go to school, the places where we do our grocery shopping, to be the sites of potential violence. And so we're here today with many people, elected officials, faith leaders, neighborhood people, to make an invitation. And that is to other elected officials, faith leaders, and business owners across the state of North Carolina to sign on and to say that we want an end to this. These operations are bad for our state, they're bad for our people. And so you can join the hundreds of members of our community that have already shown up to take care of each other. You can go to defendandrecruit.org. That's defendandrecruit.org/safenc to make the pledge as a business owner, as a faith leader, as an elected official, to say that we want to stop to these operations and that we want truly safe communities. Thank you.
And at defendandrecruit.org/safenc, you can also find a place for you to send it to business leaders, to faith leaders, to elected officials that you know. So you'll find all of that there. And I just want to point out that we have a couple dozen faith leaders here with us on about 2 hours notice, many of whom spent the day also going out looking to how to keep their community safe, keep immigrants safe from Border Patrol. And one of them was Jennifer Copeland, Executive Director of the NC Council of Churches.
I do greet all of you here from the press and the friends behind me on behalf of the North Carolina Council of Churches. We represent 19 denominations across North Carolina in places big like the Triangle and Crossroads that probably you've never heard of. My point is we are everywhere in North Carolina. At the council, we don't pretend to be objective about these kinds of things, and we don't pretend to offer a variety of opinions. We refract everything through one lens, through the Old Testament prophets and the New Testament Gospels. And when I read those places, I hear one consistent message about how we confront this sort of thing. In those places, Scripture tells us immigration is clearly framed as a call to hospitality. The immigrant who resides with you shall be to you as the citizen among you. You shall love the immigrant as yourself. That's in the Bible, friends. Look it up. It's Leviticus chapter 19. When the forces of the world conspire to harm the ones we are called to show hospitality to, we are expected to protect them. We are expected to show up. And when federal law enforcement brings their sinful behavior to the streets in our neighborhoods, they are interfering with our First Amendment freedom of religion rights. I live down that street. This is my neighborhood. I'm not just somebody that they flew in because I have a big title and I represent lots of people in North Carolina. This is my neighborhood. My religion calls me to welcome the immigrant and to serve my neighbors. And the Constitution tells me I have a right to do that. All of the Council's 19 denominational members work intentionally to foster hospitality for immigrants, and when necessary, like today, protection for those who have been wrongly called dangerous by those who are actually dangerous because of their disregard for human rights, constitutional rights, and due process. These people that live around us, who send their children to this daycare facility, are our neighbors. They live on the streets we live on, they work in the businesses we work in, they play in the parks we play in. We know them. They are not strangers, they are not dangerous, they are not statistics, they are our neighbors. So I would say, how dare federal law enforcement show up in our neighborhood and impinge on our religious right to love our neighbors? How dare they? Thank you.
Now, Durham State Senator Sophia Chitlick.
Hi all, thanks for being here in District 22 today. I'm State Senator Sophia Chitlick and I have the privilege of representing our community here in the State Senate. Today, when I came home, I also have a young son, a toddler, who could go to a center just like this. My son, my 4-year-old, asked me, "Ema, why do you have on a whistle?" He didn't know that I had borrowed it from his costume box, which was somewhat controversial, and I explained to him, Ema is trying to help keep people safe. That's what we're trying to do here in Durham, is to keep each other safe. And I first want to thank the incredible organizers, the child care providers like Ms. Muhammad, the teachers, the community safety officers, and the faith leaders and elected officials standing behind me from not just Durham, but across our state, who are on the front lines providing true care for our community right now. Their incredible care and their coordination has been humbling to witness, not just today, but in the months leading up to this moment. And I am so incredibly proud of everyone who has rallied to protect our neighbors. Today, we witnessed Customs and Border Patrol come uninvited into our Durham community and abduct our residents. The footage is horrific, but so is what you do not see. At some schools, over 30% of students were absent. Businesses are shut down. Healthcare appointments are being missed. Families are afraid to leave their homes. This is not how you create safety here in Durham or anywhere else. This is how you destroy due process and our Constitution. Using unmasked, unidentified police to kidnap people without warrants is not law enforcement. It is state violence, turning our neighbors, our businesses, and our place of worships into surveillance zones. We have seen this authoritarian playbook before. As a Jew, my people know this all too well. It always starts with attacking immigrants, and it never ends there. I know this in my body. As an elected official, it is my responsibility to do everything that I can to speak out and to stop families from being torn apart. I stand with our immigrant neighbors and with those on the front lines providing true care for our community in this moment. We will not be silent.
County Commission Chair Nida Alam.
Evening, everyone. I want to thank Siembra and C for organizing this, and also for the hundreds of volunteers across North Carolina who have been stepping up, not just today, but over last week in Mecklenburg and in Wake County and now here in Durham, for stepping up and putting your body on the line for our immigrant communities. And it matters that people showed up today, because it matters that we don't let fear keep us inside or quiet. This morning, I went to Beauty World after hearing what was happening, that there was Customs and Border Patrol sighted in their parking lot. And what I saw was painful and infuriating. Customs and Border Patrol agents were heavily armed, masks covering their face, kidnapping 3 men right here in Durham, refusing to show a warrant, refusing to explain anything, and they acted like they were in a war zone, not in a neighborhood where families were shopping and working. Durham is over 1,300 miles from the border. None of this was about securing our borders. None of it was about enforcing the law. It was a show of force meant to scare people. I myself am a naturalized immigrant, and I've built a life here. I've raised my kids here. I serve this community. And even with all of that, standing there watching armed federal agents refuse to show a warrant, I felt fear. And if I felt it, I know our undocumented neighbors felt it 10 times worse. I know that parents felt it in their gut, just like I did. And I know kids who saw these armed officers walking around their grocery store parking lots will remember it. And that fear is not an accident. It's the intention of this administration. This is the Trump administration reaching deep into communities like ours, far from any border, to terrify immigrants on purpose. To try to scare people to think that they can be targeted any moment, even when they're just shopping or heading to work or picking up their kids. This is cruelty. But here's what I also saw today. I saw our residents and neighbors here in Durham refusing to look away. I saw people stepping in, recording, putting their bodies on the line to make sure those detained weren't invisible. People who were scared but still showed up. And Durham does not let our neighbors face this alone. No matter how much this administration wants to break our spirit, they're not going to succeed. Because we have built something beautiful here. A community that believes every family deserves stability and dignity, not armed agents patrolling parking lots like an occupying force. And I want every immigrant family to hear this, that you are not alone, you are not disposable, and you deserve to feel safe in the place you call home. And we will keep showing up, and you have so many of your elected officials and leaders from places of worship here to show you that we will keep telling the truth about what this administration is doing, and we will keep fighting for a North Carolina where no one has to fear walking into a store or dropping their kids at school. Thank you.
And amid all the news, horrific news about Durham and Raleigh today, Cary, also there were detentions. We confirmed detentions this morning in Charlotte, this afternoon in Charlotte. They have continued to abduct people in Charlotte. I just got a text, though, that also there is another training for the safety patrols. Already, I think over 800 people have been trained this week, and there's a church that seats about 300 and 500 people have started gathering for the training tonight in Charlotte. So this continues to be a story of communities coming together also to fight back and to create more safety, to make it possible to get to work and school safely. Next up, Javiera Caballero, City Council Member for Durham.
Good evening, everyone. Buenas tardes. I'm Javiera Caballero, Javiera Thank you so much. I really appreciate all of the electeds and faith-based leaders that are here this evening. And I also just want to lift up many of the words that were already said. We are in terrifying times. We've seen what has happened when these, quite frankly, goons come into our communities and do not actually do anything around community safety. We know how to keep ourselves safe. We have highly qualified police and sheriff deputies in Durham who do a fantastic job. We have an incredible community safety department. We know how to keep each other safe. We do not need federal immigration enforcement doing that service for us. What we know that they're doing is trying to create exclusion and fear. And folks who've already spoken have spoken much to that. I do really want to lift up what Durham did today, because I think people thought they were going to show up and they were going to pick on us. And Durham will not be cowed. We will always stand up and defend our neighbors. We've done it before and we will do it again. So if you are out here and you're listening and you're like, what can I do? You can look up the trainings that Siembra is offering and others are offering. You can donate to organizations like Siembra, like Carolina Migrant Network in Charlotte, Justice Matters, Church World Service, World Relief, your local food pantry. Your neighbors are going to need you in these next few days. People, Thanksgiving is next week. There are lots of neighbors who are not going to want to go to their grocery store. They're not going to want to send their kids to school, and rightfully so. They are terrified. A city employee today, while she was leaving, who I know well, I said, how are you getting home? And she said, well, I'm driving. And she lives pretty far. And I said, you can't drive alone. How are you going to make it home? And another city worker volunteered to follow her home. That is the moment we are living in, and it is completely unacceptable and, quite frankly, un-American. So for all of these federal officials who think this is the American way, it is absolutely not the American way. The American way is to stand up for your neighbor. The American way is to be inclusive. The American way is to protect our enshrined rights, our constitutional rights, which say that we have the right to free speech, we have the right to a free assembly, and we have the right to freedom of religion. That is what we are entitled to. Every single person in this country, documented or not. That is what the Constitution says, and that is what is required of us to defend every single day. So for all of you Durhamites who are worried and scared, and I am too, please defend your city. I am counting on you, and I know you are going to do the right thing. We all love our neighbors. Durham will always be a welcoming city.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Beyer. I am a proud member of the Durham Board of Education. I have served for 15 years. I want to especially acknowledge my school board chair, Bettina Umstead, who is here, who spent way too much time on the phone today with the superintendent because children were not in school. Families were terrified and terrorized intentionally by the federal government. We have a beloved community in Durham. We have always loved and welcomed refugees and immigrants into our beloved community. They are us. And we will not let outsiders divide us. Today I got a message that there were masked men behind a local business. not in front in the light of day, but behind the local business, hiding and stuffing people in unmarked vehicles. They had their faces covered. They were head to toe in tactical gear. They were not our local police. They were not our local safety officials. They were outsiders. And they need to go home. In Durham, we will not live in fear, but we will come together to protect the rights of every person to live, to work, and to learn. Children need to know they can safely go to school and daycare and come home to their loving families. When I got the message about this daycare together today, I came and drove this parking lot. I talked to the director, and her teachers were scared. Shame on the federal government. Shame. I drove the block several times to confirm that the agents had left. We can do better than this. We see these tactics of fear and division, and in Durham, we reject them. When masked men use our tax dollars to intimidate and bully, we will stand in opposition and bear witness. Immigrants and refugees have always been welcome here. Now I'd invite everyone in Durham to throw up your bulls. This is the Bull City. We stand together. Bull City strong. Thank you.
And clearly, Wake County was united today, and we don't know where these people will go tomorrow. We do not know. So everyone is bracing themselves, I think, even outside of the triad and the triangle. And it's going to be, unfortunately, up to all of us to create more safety. And I have to point out this: we have faith leaders, we have elected officials from all levels of government here, and what we're missing also are business leaders, and we're hoping they'll join us. The leaders of our state legislature love to say this is the best state for business. It cannot be the best state for business if it is not the state where you can get to school or get to work safely. If it's not the best state for our kids, if it's not the best state for our workers, it cannot be good for business. And so we're really hoping in the days ahead that we will see more unanimity, more public declarations from across the political spectrum, no matter your affiliation, no matter your role in our society, that to say we need to return to a week ago when you could get to school or work safely in this state. But it is going to take all of us to make sure, and that's why if you go to defendandrecruit.org/safenc, you can help us make sure that the people, the business leaders that you worship with, that you know, that the elected officials you do not see here tonight, who have been silent on their social media, that they stand for a state where you can drop your kids off at school. So we encourage you all to participate. Now, I think these folks would be up for taking questions if there are any.
The woman who just spoke last?
Natalie Byer, yeah.
Do you have any pictures or video of this stuff you said you saw or got a message about?
I do, and Chair Alam does as well.
Elected officials, did any federal immigration officers or agencies contact you and tell you that they were planning to be here today?
No, of course they didn't.
Did anyone from the state pass down any messages they heard as well?
We had other verified officials be able to tell us. We had a heads up from a few verified sources that this might be coming our way. And so we shared that information with our community so that, again, we can keep each other safe.
Do you know how many people may have been arrested?
I don't have those numbers. We not only, Andrew might, Siembra might, not only do we not know how many people were abducted, but we don't know where they were taken to. And so there's, extreme concern about this, and that's what happens. Okay. This is not a clear and transparent process. That's part of the point, right? That's part of the fear. That's part of the tactics.
So you don't know names or anybody who was arrested?
I have not found out that information yet. Do you have
I'm
these?
happy to-
Yeah, go for it.
We've had at least half a dozen calls to our hotline in the last 2 hours from the loved ones of people who were detained today. We have a team that's sort of tracking verified incidents, and we think there were at least 20 different individual sightings of Border Patrol activity in the Triangle today. And that's just what we've been able to, we're sure there were others, we're sure that's an undercount, but we aren't yet sure about how many detentions across those there were. And people can call our hotline 336-543-0353 if their loved one has been detained, to connect to attorneys, to legal support, and to emergency kind of cash assistance for the people who have been detained. So as we get more information, we'll be updating you all in press releases, other ways. But that's what we know right now.
You don't know any names. You don't know where they were taken from or to, or
We don't know where they've been transported to. There's a few people who are in the ICE locator as being under ICE custody, and then it says just call ICE for more information, and there is no number to call. So that's kind of classic Border Patrol and ICE these days. We do know names of some people, and they haven't given us permission to release their names.
do you know if any of them had previous criminal records?
So far, everyone who's called says definitely not. He was going outside to throw out the trash. He was a landscaper blowing leaves. That's the stories we've got so far.
Is there a pattern of locations they're targeting that you've seen?
If you look at the ojonc.org map, ojonc.org map, we've been able to update some of it today. And by the way, if you go to that website and it's momentarily down, we are trying very quickly to upgrade the server, but it's under a lot of strain. But you can see that they just kind of drove up some main roads from southwest Raleigh up to through Cary up to Durham. And this is what we've seen in Charlotte the last couple of days too, where they're just kind of on South Boulevard or other main thoroughfares, just scanning for people who might look like they're from out of the country. Just to be clear, when the Border Patrol says they're looking for criminals, they've been very clear about this. They're looking for people who might have been born outside the U.S. That is their definition of criminal, someone who might have been born outside the U.S. Obviously, that includes U.S. citizens. They're fine with detaining and arresting and breaking the windows of U.S. citizens also.
And when you talk about
Do you have any evidence of that?
Of which?
U.S. citizens?
Yeah, in Charlotte 2 days ago, it's all over the news. There was a man who was dragged out of the car who was a U.S. citizen it was the second time that day he had been stopped by Border Patrol.
when you talk about these volunteer patrols, how are these people being, educated to interact with?
So we've been holding in-person and virtual trainings where we explain how to safely document and report these arrests, especially to use them to document them for legal evidence. Last week in Chicago, a federal judge ordered 600 people Border Patrol had arrested to be released because he said they were illegally arrested. And there had been cases for weeks where the Border Patrol had denied taking these people into custody. And the judge said, but we have bystander video where these people are saying their names while you are arresting them. So this legal evidence can be really powerful. In addition to, Sophia mentioned whistles. There's a lot of ways to warn the community. So we teach people about how to warn, how to get together and be unified if there's a lot of bystanders all at the same time. So there's a unified strategy for how to create safety in the moment.
What are you guys looking for when you're verifying the reports of ICE that you're seeing? How exactly are you going through the process of getting that information out as well?
There's a lot of ways. So there's a lot of people making calls to hotlines. There's people just monitoring different kinds of social media. There's a lot of people just in neighborhoods who are posting to Facebook groups in Spanish. So there's dozens of volunteers who are not even in the street who are just helping figure that question out. But also, as these folks will tell you who were out today, we're looking for unmarked vehicles with out-of-state plates with people in military fatigues. And they're not being very discreet. Yeah. Other questions for our speakers?
For the school board, what's your recommendation to families concerned about sending their kids to school? Should they stay home? Should they go back?
I'll let mine share.
Good evening, everyone. Bettina Umstead, Bettina Umstead, School Board Chair for Durham Public Schools. I think families need to do what's in their best interest. I really believe that parents know what's best for their students. We do know attendance was down today based on the reports of ICE being in the area. The district is really thinking about how do we partner with community groups to make sure families are taken care of during this time. And I think that families will have to make the choice that's best for them.
Anyone else?
Do you have a sense of how long this is going to go on during the trial?
Does anyone have a sense of how long this is going on? Too long. I think that's the answer. Yeah.
Unconfirmed.
Yeah, it's unconfirmed. We don't know.
There are some stories that Durham is a sting right now, and depending how successful it is the first day or hours, whether or not they'll choose to come back full force.
Yeah.
So I think that's why so many of us were out there today, trying to track them down, trying to film them.
Well,
you are Marsha Morey, state representative.
State Representative Marsha Morey in Durham. And just to add to that, yeah, and you can go up to the mic if you want in a second. Welcome. In Charlotte, the last couple of days, what we've seen is a whole lot of people sheltering in place, basically, and also their workplaces deciding to close or to station someone at the door or in the parking lot to do their own spotting, to be their own sort of neighborhood safety system, which, by the way, we've learned from communities in Chicago, like Rogers Park. We've actually talked to people there about how they got to be so organized. And we think actually one reason they might have left Chicago is the neighborhoods got so organized it became hard to snatch people off the street because there was so much protection. There were so many layers of that. And in Charlotte the last couple of days, I think it's become harder and harder for people. They've, started going to just the last 24 hours we saw Border Patrol focus on gas stations because it became like, well, so people have to get gas sometimes, so we'll stake those out. It became harder and harder, I think, for them to find people. People were getting more organized. There was more and more protection. And so to your point, Marsha, maybe it is a thing we can do, right? Is to become so organized, but also to support people who need to shelter in place, who need to stay home from work, make sure they can still get paid. We're already here, people here are helping pick up people's kids. We're helping with at pickup, at drop-off. And I think that's the thing that in the days ahead we're going to have to do as long as this lawlessness continues.
Andrew,
Yeah.
share the Know Your Rights?
Go for it. Oh, wait. Share, like...
The Know Your Rights at the... You don't have it listed.
Go ahead, do it. You want to do it?
Sharing for our residents to know for their safety and well-being, and also share with your friends and your community members that you still have rights that are protected by the Constitution, that you do not have to let anyone into your private home or private business of Customs and Border Patrol or ICE agents unless they have a signed warrant from a judge. And you also do not have to answer any questions to them regarding where you were born, what your citizenship status is, and do not sign anything that they give you without speaking to an attorney. These are all your rights that are protected, and make sure that if you do see someone who you suspect is Customs and Border Patrol or ICE, call the Siembra hotline number.
Anyone else? Anything else? Yep, go for it.
Just add one more thing. I was out in the community today at schools. There have been community members that are gathering around schools to make sure that students can get to and from safely. So I think if families are thinking about what to do, know that we are really intentional about thinking about that safety piece. All of our school leaders know what to do. Our front office staff know what to do. Our transportation staff have also been trained. So we are making sure that we are doing what we need to do to keep our students and their families safe.
Anything else? Any other questions? All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah,